Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome to Grand Emprise. This is a time travel survival game that's coming out in August this year. But soon, that is probably later today, or by the time that you're watching this potentially already, you will need to play the prologue, which is what you're looking at right now. It's a prologue slash demo of the game so you know what to expect. Now, the game calls itself a time travel survival game, and this is really interesting. Normally, when you have a survival game, you have a map that you play on. Imagine having several different maps that you play on where you can harvest different types of resources using different tiers of technology. In this case, that is what is happening. So, whereas you start in the dinosaur era, you can end in the futuristic era. So basically everything from dinosaurs to Dyson spheres and everything that lies in between. I don't exactly know how many different eras there are going to be, because not all of them are accessible in this particular build. The build that I was doing and the gameplay that I've thus far done gives me access to the dinosaur era as well as the primitive era, and I believe there's one more that you can go to after that. So what do you do here? Well, it is survival. You gotta make sure you get food, you gotta make sure that you potentially have some shelter, and in this case it is somewhat story driven slash boosting you to advance in the form of going out there and complete this little tech tree. What's notable about the game is that it's made by one person. Everything you see, the level design, the creatures, the AI, everything has been made by one person. I'm extremely impressed. This is definitely a lot of work. I mean, just figuring out the tech tree and making sure that everything fits together in a sensible way, and building a story, and building the maps, and building the survival elements, and the creatures that you're facing. Well, creatures in this era, and later eras you're going to be facing different things. That sounds like a lot of work, but one man made it happen. Now, in this case, I am tasked with taking down this Utah raptor, and I don't really have much beyond just throwing rocks at him. So, time to take this guy down and make sure that he's no longer a threat. Why do I need to do this? Well, I need to get at his meat. Because using meat, you can then start using that to tame other dinosaurs. Yes, it's borrowing a little bit from the Ark game, in the sense that you can actually throw some meat that you just harvested from that one dinosaur at the other, and start taming this guy. Up to the point where you can actually ride said dinosaur and use them for other purposes. So you can use them to get around, potentially carry your inventory. Feeding a T-Rex in the same way didn't exactly go down for me that well, unfortunately. And quickly the T-Rex decided that my Utah raptor was far better food than the small pieces of meat that I was throwing at him. So very quickly moving on to taming yet another of the Utah raptors. Honestly, these guys didn't really do much for me, and I found that just ignoring them or taking them down if they got problematic worked just as well. Now, after a little bit in this prologue, you move on to an ancient temple. This little orb of light that you see up ahead guides you through the map and tells you, hey, you need to follow me. And it seems to be a bit of exposition, but there's not a whole lot of story here. But the map design is beautiful. I really enjoyed this, and again was very impressed by the fact that this has been done by just one man. Lots of these artifacts might have been borrowed from a general library, I don't know. Maybe he created all of it himself, maybe there are Unreal libraries, I don't exactly know how that works. Anyway, once you follow this guy far enough, you're going to be moving on to a time machine, which brings you to the primitive era. Primitive era has no more dinosaurs. They're all gone, they're all extinct, and the Earth is now a lot greener. So in this era, you're going to be working on / with different technology. And whereas in the dinosaur era, you're not actually able to build a whole lot, you are now, once you get to this next era. And that's where things get really interesting. Because once you learn with this part of the tech tree what you can build, you can then go back using your time machine to, let's say, the previous map / previous era, the dinosaur era, and go after building bases out there. Now, at this point, of course, you're going to be facing different animals, different creatures, and this crocodile over here, or alligator, crocodile, decided that I was excellent food, And as opposed to the Utahraptor, this was basically a really heavily armored / high hit point unit, so all I could really do was run away. Anyway, back to the whole building thing. Noteworthy is that it's not allowing you, this game is not allowing you to build custom buildings. It is not strictly a sandbox, but it does give you some freedom as to what you want to build and of course where you want to build it. So if you're looking for a pure experience where you can just build anything, dig anywhere, then there are plenty of other survival games that can do that. Once I teched up a bit and I have taken down this dinosaur, I can use my axe to get some raw animal meat from this guy. And of course, that can be used as food. So I thought, okay, if I can put this raw animal meat onto a flame, so onto a fire, can I bring that back and feed that to the T-Rex? Can I feed that to the Triceratops that I might want to placate and turn into my ally? Unfortunately, that did not work. But the game does say, well, maybe some other food is going to work. So I really like that all of these different eras are interacting with each other, and that they're all able to work together in the sense that in this era I need potentially hides to make armor. I need dinosaur hides, but you cannot find dinosaurs on this map because they're all dead. So what you need to do instead is go back, take down a couple of dinosaurs with your now newly found spears, and once you have done that, you can harvest the dinosaurs' skins, turn that into armor, and you'll be able to be a bit better at survival in all the eras. So all of the ways that these things interact with each other is really nifty, and it's something that I haven't seen before, which really got my attention. It's pretty hard these days to find a mechanic that hasn't been done / done to death. And having these different maps, these different eras interact with each other is something I haven't encountered yet. But perhaps you have, and I'm just forgetting any of the maps or any of the games. What tends to happen a lot in this game, at least for me, is that you die. In this survival game, what happens when you die is you just drop your stuff. It doesn't disappear. It's much like dropping your backpack in other games. If you can go back to the position where you died, you can reacquire your stuff. So in that sense, sometimes it can be pretty difficult to get your stuff back, but generally if you kite enough enemies away, you should be able to get all of your stuff back. In this case, only to promptly die again. So in this situation, teching up, bringing a spear, and making sure that I'm better equipped to survive the dinosaur era now is definitely something you can do. And this is only the interaction between two eras. Imagine that you want to start mining things in the dinosaur age. With my stone pickaxe, I cannot do that. It says you need to come back later when you have industrial grade gear. So there are definitely resources in the dinosaur era that force you to come back here. And that force you to bring better materials, better resources, better equipment. And it means that a map, or an era, once you've sort of completed it or moved on, it's not simply done. You will have to revisit it to gather resources that you might not find in a different era. You will have to constantly zip around between all of these different eras and make sure that you get the resources you need to keep advancing. Again, I'm really impressed that this has all been created and thought up by one person, and that all of this stuff just, at least in this prologue, this demo, works. Now, after a while of playing around with the dinosaurs, I hopped back to the primitive age, where I built a boat, because I needed to get a boat and get across the map. Can you do this without a boat? Sure, but it's going to take you a lot more time. Now, this thing handles a bit interesting. It's a fast boat. Let's just put it that way. It's a really fast boat. It handles more like a jet ski, but whatever. The boat then allows you to get resources and keep advancing, and the boat is basically just the first vehicle, not counting riding a dinosaur, that you can actually use. But in the full game, you'll be able to use all sorts of vehicles, ranging from the dinosaur to eventually riding airplanes to mechs and spaceships. So the game just keeps advancing, keeps bringing you new technology, that is, if you play well enough, and make sure that you always have some new thing to keep going after. Now, I wanted to close out this little preview with the trailer that the dev released himself. You can see there's all these different maps, different eras, different worlds. He too starts in the early era, but there's an airplane floating around a dinosaur. So not only can you fly the airplane in, let's say, the modern or industrial age, you can also bring it back. And you can eventually take an airplane and start harassing dinosaurs, or potentially something way more advanced, such as a spaceship. And whereas, there we go, whereas a dinosaur might be your biggest concern initially, later on that could turn into a sandworm. I still don't know exactly what the backstory is. I don't exactly know what we're going to be facing and fighting and how the whole tribal mechanism is going to work, because I doubt you'll be able to do everything on your own. That's going to be up to us to explore as the players, when this game comes out in August, that is. There's so much stuff in this trailer that it's pretty difficult to cover everything and really give it enough attention. I am definitely looking forward to playing this game on my channel, figuring out the different mechanics and exploring the world, exploring the different eras, and then basically exploring them again. Because using a tank to go down a T-Rex or using some spaceship to fly around the industrial age, why not? If we can do it, why not? All these different maps, different modes of transportation, different modes of exploration, I'm in. Let's try it. So, more information about the game linked down below in the description. And if you want to try the game for yourself, or at least the prologue, you can. Again, linked down below. It's a free prologue, it's a free demo, and with it, you can have a look at the game yourself. At least the first couple of eras, and you can see whether you like it or not. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Look forward to seeing your observations and your thoughts about this type of mechanic. Have we seen this before? Are there any other games that do this? If so, let me know, because so far, I haven't seen any. So I think this is refreshing. Some new way of playing a game, a survival game, using something as time travel to use different maps. Very excited about this new game. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Grand Emprise, time travel.